Hey everybody, it is I, your Survivor buddy Gordon Holmes here with your exit interview for Survivor 45, episode 12, the 13th person eliminated, talking to Drew or perhaps Basile in a couple of minutes. Before we get into that, a couple of quick orders of business. First of all, still a little under the weather, not sick, just I've got this really persistent cough. So if I cut loose with some coughing, I apologize. Also, the finale is upon us. Come back next Thursday. I'm going to have exit press with all of the final five from the winner on down. D's going to win, right? Right. Also, Survivor Power Rankings every Monday. For anyone, just spoiler alert, like mathematically, I cannot capture, but it's still a lot of fun. Check it out this Monday on YouTube. Also, my graphic novel, The Bad Guy, is available on legacycomics.com. I'll put a link down below if you enjoy me, if you enjoy this content, if you want to help us out. It's a great way to support the channel. Again, I'll put the link down below, legacycomics.com. Also, my episode recaps are available on Substack. I also give grades to all of the contestants that are still remaining in the game. Check that out. And I think that's it. So let's see what Drew has to say about last night's elimination. Oh, Drew. Like what a I don't know if I've ever seen anything as perfectly parallel as we saw in the last two episodes of Survivor between, your buddy Austin. If he keeps it
I
quiet,
know.
Julie goes home. And then if D keeps it quiet, you go home. What's it like to watch that back now that you kind of have, more context of everything that happened?
I don't know, man. First is tragedy, then is farce, you know? Like it's tough watching your game and something you so love hinge on like a small few decisions. And sometimes decisions you don't even make. You know, I love Austin. Like we were bros out there, we're bros now. A tight connection for sure. I didn't blame him at all for telling D, because when you care about somebody and they come at you and they have maybe an inkling already, it's a hard thing to do. I get it completely. Furthermore, there were so many holes in that Julie Blind side, that to attribute all the blame to Austin, I think is misguided. I had some responsibility. I think a lot of people did. Um, but yeah, it is a tough way to go for
Yeah.
sure.
And how do you compete with that toe, man? Like, I'm sorry, but you're always going to come up second best, compared to
To the
that toe.
toe. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I was trying like I had big hands, long fingers. No, that didn't. Nobody would bite. The toe was very popular.
right. Now we obviously don't deal in spoilers here, but going based on when you were eliminated from the game,
Yeah.
D was bright enough to make the Julie Blind side seem like she wasn't a part of it. She didn't know about the idol play. Is it possible at the time that you thought that Austin might have been in on getting rid of you, or do you think that he was truly blindsided?
I was pretty sure that Austin wasn't involved at the time, just based gut on like he wouldn't do that to me, and he didn't. So there was something to be said for the gut on that one. But D really threw me. One of the things that kind of is not shown about D's game, but that was really present is her emotion and her honesty. You know, D function on like a really deep and honed sense of intuition, maybe more so than like a mastermind orchestration of strategy. And so the point is that when you talk to D, you didn't feel that you were being subordinated to some strategic outcome. It felt like the relationship was primary, and I think that might be a fair characterization of her game. You'll have to ask her when you get to talk to her. The point of all this is that when the Julie Blindside failed, there was a sense maybe that like my emotion had given away or my change of dynamic at camp, but there was also a sense that maybe D's, finding out about the news, her dynamic had changed to camp. But nobody held that against Dee because that's just who she is. Like she wears her emotions on her sleeve, and that's one of the things that made her so loved and so ensconced in the
Did
in
you
the
ever
game.
did you ever think for a second that D was the one that had coughed up the information to Julie?
I personally did blame D, but I thought that it was because of her reaction to hearing that I wasn't there for that conversation with
Right.
Austin. I was told afterwards by Austin and by Emily that it was a long conversation. It was an emotional conversation, and that Julie had stumbled in the middle of the conversation, or that she had been around. And so my thought process was basically, okay, D logically should get rid of Julie because they played similar games, and Julie has a higher strategic profile for the jury. Um, so why would she tell Julie? But maybe she unintentionally told Julie with her mannerisms, with her like reaction to hearing the news,
So
and Julie stumbled on them.
so it'd be best to say that you thought D might have coughed it up, but unintentionally.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Was there any talk of Austin playing the idol on you?
it's tough because if one of us had won immunity, absolutely the idol would have been played on the other. I think that's a fair statement. You can ask him. But we were so confident all day. I really me, I was so confident all day. Like I thought I was done and dusted, like bread and butter, like sealed the final five. And then right before tribal council, I just had this conversation that like rubbed me the wrong way, and there's something wasn't right. And immediately we're pulled to tribal council. So I'm worried. And then the answers of tribal council are a little suspicious. They're not quite the answers I would expect. So I start to get more and more agitated and concerned. And so then that's like D, she's like, oh, you don't trust people. And I'm like, there are people I trust absolutely. Like I'm in with you guys, like I'm set for the final three. I know who I'm going with, like hold the line, guys. But alas, it didn't work. And to call for an idol play at Tribal is one of the most difficult leaps of faith in the world. And I think potentially maybe even a selfish thing to do, right? Because you've gotten jitters at the last minute. Who knows if they split the vote, which would be the sensible thing to do. Who knows if you're really in danger. And it was just a hard spot. By the time I figured out I might need it, it was too late.
What happened during this pre-tribal conversation that made you nervous?
I was just talking to somebody about Austin's Idol, and I kind of thought, like, why am I having this conversation? Like, why is Austin's Idol so relevant all of a sudden? And I gave a confessional about it, and I'm like, you know, maybe there's something going on with this idol. Maybe I need that idol.
Okay. Now let's go back to Final Seven before Emily was eliminated. If I gave you the magic wand and you were allowed to write your perfect ending, your perfect final three, what would that have looked like at that point?
My perfect final three, I would have wanted to go to the end with Austin and Jake, Austin and Katura. I would have been comfortable. Honestly, had D not made that move against Julie, which I think is a great strategic move, I would have been comfortable going to the end with D and Austin. And at final six, that was probably still my plan. I felt like I had good winner equity with almost any combination. Who knows if that's true? The jury didn't seem to like me much last night, but that was my perception during the game.
But what would your final argument have looked like against Austin or D or in a final three?
It's important to preface this by saying that Reba really did make its strategic decisions as a unit. That being said, I felt like I would get a lot of the credit just based on who I am and how I present myself for the strategic decision making. I also felt that D and Austin, if that final six one had been the one, they had kind of fallen for each other. But on a jury which really values strategy, that might not be a plus. Like that might actually be looked down upon. So, who knows if that is true, if the true assessment, but that's what I thought at the time.
Okay.
So yeah.
The move is he gets the girl, I get the million.
Yeah, that would have been a good line. Gordon, had it happened, I would have had to call you up and
I
get
know.
you to feed me some quotes. I wasn't at the point yet where I was articulating what my actual argument would be. It was still all about like getting through fire making.
Maybe that's a new gig for me, just to be like a line writer for
Yeah,
people for
consultant.
final trial. Yeah, like just
Yeah,
go off into the
yeah.
jungle and I'll go over some notes.
That's
We
fun.
do a word association here to get to know your tribe mates a little bit better. I'll give you someone's name, give me the first word, a couple words that pop in your head. And let's start off with Katura.
Katura. Um, so Katara is someone who maybe I didn't get along with the best out there. Actually on the island, and maybe you saw that in like the CU. But like a really rich person, and there's was so much depth, and so depth will be my word. The more I get to know Katara, especially in real life, the more I find uh, traits to admire, like a subtle funniness and intelligence. And so that's a relationship that I feel like has really grown outside the game. So I'll give depth.
Okay, let's try D.
D. Oh, man, intuition. Like D is like seismic. She can feel when anything is wrong.
Okay, Bruce.
Bruce is pops. I love Bruce. I'm a big Bruce fan. And he's gotten some hate. I'm a Bruce appreciator.
Okay, Brando.
Brando, kind, very
Okay,
wholesome dude, great guy.
okay. Kendra.
Oh, Kendra. How to put into words. I didn't prepare for this, by the way, Gordon.
You're not supposed
Again,
to. You're not
yeah,
supposed to.
I mean, it is. Now I got to think. Kendra is definitely a competitor. People get distracted by like the free spirit, the zodiac type stuff, but Kendra cares. She plays hard, and the game matters.
Okay, Emily.
Doppelganger. I
Okay,
think Emily and I are very similar.
Sifu.
Character, dude. Like Sifu is a character in that he's an absolutely wild person who I've never met anybody like. But character also in that Sifu has really deep set principles that he cares deeply about and structure who he is.
Okay, Caleb.
charisma. I don't know if you want to say it's charisma, if it's Riz, but the guy's got, the golden tongue, and he is skilled.
Okay. Kelly.
Kelly is Kelly's kind of like I feel like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like Kelly on a different season is Wentworth. She's
Mhm.
great, and I get a lot of respect and appreciation for her, and I think that everyone can see like the potential that could have been.
Okay. Austin.
Austin's bro requires no further description.
Okay. Jay Maya.
Jay Maya was a gamer. I felt like Jay Maya, you could always tell, the opposite of D in a lot of ways. Whereas D, the relationship always felt primary. With Jay, the strategy was just so present. So
Okay.
she's a gamer.
Jake.
Jake is grit, dude. Jake is heart. Jake is a guy who never gives up, never loses the positive attitude, and it's something I really admired about him, even out there. Like my secret scene, I'm kind of a grump. So Jake was the antithesis.
Let's finish off with Julie.
Julie, there's a lot of names. Julie's an assassin. Julie's a game, like a killer. I think that's the right way to describe her. She's cold blooded.
Explain to me how she keeps that idol. Um, I had made the joke like I have a hard time asking for extra bread at a restaurant, and she kept like what? How does that conversation go? Did Austin ever even ask for it back?
So I don't think we ever explicitly, sat her down and was like, Julie, pay up. But the thing was, and I had a conversation with her a couple of days after, or maybe the day after, and I called it Austin's idol, and she was like, "It's my idol," and she corrected. And so there was kind of a sense, I think, in Julie's camp that Austin doesn't need two idols. Austin's got an idol. That's plenty. This is mine. This is my power. This is my agency. And Gordon, we're in a kind of situation where it's like, think of Ricard and Shan. Do I want to blow up this relationship, which has got to be really far, and which will probably get me farther, over greed, over a material possession? Like, no, it's probably better to just stomach that, deal with it later, and kind of keep the status quo.
Yeah. Early on in the game, I think in the first episode, you said that you were one of the most intelligent people to ever play the game.
Yeah, I
What
did.
and you're like, oh, one of my
I
favorite
know the fans really latched onto that one.
one of my favorite Survivor quotes is Randy Bailey when he was voted out said, "4 idiots can vote out 3 geniuses all day long." And I'm definitely not saying that the people left are idiots,
Good
but
quote.
now that you've had a chance to play the game and go through it, how important is intelligence and compared to being strategic, having good with social cues? Like where do you stand with that quote now?
Well, I think probably right now, just due to the surplus of advantage to the game, like luck really plays such a big part. Um, but then also the social game is predominant. I think that intelligence is necessary in that it structures how you handle your social interactions. I don't think it's the most important aspect of Survivor, though, although it really can help you strategically see opportunities that other people don't.
Okay.
But
Uh,
just to add on to that, intelligence is way more important when you're at the bottom than when you're at the top, right? Because when you're at the top, you have those numbers, right? You can be an idiot or a genius, it doesn't matter. But intelligence really shines through when you're on the floor. That's where it really matters. And I'll be honest, I never played from the bottom in this game, so I didn't get that experience.
there was an interesting moment where Brando tried to create a Pokemon alliance with you, and it seemed like you
Yeah.
shut it down pretty quickly. What was the logic behind that move, as opposed to maybe stringing him along a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of a move it was. It was like Brando had been making alliances, quite a number of them, and we'd been included in some, and we, had never interfaced about which was the real alliance, or we actually going to work for each other. And I was just like, okay, like I know what's going on. This is just obfuscation, like it's going to be Bello versus Reba, and Bruce had definitely given me some cues, maybe during the journey that was how he felt, and I knew he was close with Brando, so. I kind of just was tired of it. This was the hardest point in the game. We had zero food. Everyone was at an all-time morale low. It was the hardest, portion period. Ask anybody. And I just was fed up, and I was like, dude, come on, like let's just chill out. I don't want to be like keep running in circles over something that is never going to materialize. That will have absolutely no impact. It's okay.
We're running out of time here, but real quick, you had mentioned that you were on top for most of the game, and you legitimately were. But like, so it is interesting to have that perspective of feeling like you were, had a path, maybe a couple paths to the final 3, only to get cut down by one of your people you're working with. So what is it like to never really be on the bottom and yet still not get to the final 3?
Um, it's tough because Like there is a real sense of like an incoherency in like my boot, just personally how I feel. Like I don't think it was the right decision for Jake and Katara to make. I'm not even sure if it was the right decision for Dee to make. Um, just in terms of going to the end with Julie. So it's hard to square, what I consider to be a really salient vision of like what was in people's best interest with what actually happened. And if you're on the bottom, I feel like it gives you more of a narrative to explain your survivor journey. But for me, my survivor journey is a discontinuity. It just ended suddenly, and I can blame my hubris for certain mistakes I made, right? But it's very hard to fill in and understand why other people made the decisions they made. And also, Gordon, I wasn't somebody who really wanted to like relive the game and go through all the possibilities. Once I got voted out, I was done, like so over it. Like I don't think I talked to anyone in the cast until like the late summer. I was out. And there are benefits to that in that it helps you decompress and move past what is a very difficult experience. But then there are also minuses in which that you never get the narrative closure that you'd like. And even with the show, my boot episode just kind of buried me. It was like Roger Sexton from the Amazon treatment, right? Like there's not much closure in that. So anyhow,
Well, Drew, if I was picking teams for people to come back, you'd be on the top of my list. Unlike the
appreciate
people
it
that take you for rewards. So give my best to Basile.
for
And
sure. I'll
I want
next time I see you.
to I want to thank you so much for your time, man.